My name is Dr. Nina Savell-Rocklin. I am a psychoanalyst, an author, and a radio host, and I specialize in helping free people from emotional eating.
Wow. Could you tell me a little bit about emotional eating?
Well, it's when a lot of times people will come to me and they'll say they think that they're a food addict or they have no willpower or things like that. And they think that the problem is food, but actually food is a solution to the problem. To your point on emotions, we live in a culture that doesn't like emotions. We live in a culture that says, if you're angry, you're an angry person. Take anger management classes, and if you're sad, you must be depressed. Some people are depressed, but a lot of people just feel sad because that's part of the human experience. But oh no, our culture says take a pill. You're depressed, anxious, take a pill. Even if you're happy, you're hypomanic. Like, I mean, so if we live in a culture that says feelings are scary and we are human beings who have emotions, what do we do with them? Well, we often stuff them, starve them, do various things, with food or other things to cope with those emotional states. And so emotional eating is really like a way of managing your internal world by numbing or comforting or rewarding, things like that.
Wow, yeah, I definitely understand that. And I always tell people that it's okay to have feelings. It's fine. It's normal.
Yes, unfortunately, our culture just pathologizes normal human emotions and says you are strong if you don't feel your feelings, but you're weak if you feel them. That is so backwards, because it's not
I agree.
strong to deny your experience. It's it's strong to be able to bear the experience of sometimes difficult feelings. And if we tamp down painful, difficult emotions, then we also tamp down all our happy, joyful emotions too. We just kind of numb ourselves out, and that's not healthy. So the reason I work with people with eating disorders is that I had eating disorders starting when I was 5, thinking that I was fat, and I wasn't. But here's the thing, I later came to realize that I was always being told, you're too emotional, you're too sensitive, you're too loud, you're too much, was the message. And my 5-year-old mind took that as, oh, there's literally too much of me. It's not that I feel too much. I was too much for my academic college professor family, parents. So yes, in fact, it is my very emotionality that got me on the path to having eating disorders, to healing from eating disorders, to treating eating disorders, specifically, binge eating and emotional eating, which is where most of my books are about. So yes, I am an emotional person and I'm proud of it.
Yay. So could you tell me 3 emotions you felt at the time when you had that disorder?
Oh, anger, hatred, mostly directed at myself, and weirdly hope. Because I had the notion that if I just got to a certain weight, that I would be able to change the way I felt and I would be able to change my life. That if I were just, this weight instead of that weight, then my life would be different. And so, and we're only talking like 10 pounds, but in my mind, that was the difference between the life I had and the life I wanted to have. So at the time, yes, I was filled with anger and powerlessness, and I didn't anger, powerlessness, I would say, amending my 3, and hope.
I understand that. So even these days, sometimes if you feel those things, how would you like to be supported, or how would you like to support yourself emotionally?
Well, I have learned to do this. I mean, you can't become a psychoanalyst without having to deal with your, your psyche and your thoughts and your mind and your emotions and all of that. And I just have learned to be, and this is what I teach people to be, really a generous, supportive friend to myself, to be curious and not critical. What's going on with me? Why am I feeling this way? Validating, acknowledging, and reassuring myself. And that is how I've learned to respond to difficult emotions. And when I have happy emotions, to be able to say, yes, this feels great. Let me enjoy this.
So yes, validating. I hear a lot of people seeking validation. I hear a lot of it, and I was one of them too. And outside of themselves or somewhere, if they, even though they have enough validation, they still seek validation somewhere. Um, do you know why that happens to someone?
Well, what I'm talking about is validating your emotional state,
Mm-hmm.
because we live in also a culture that tries to say, oh, look on the bright side, it'll be okay. But sometimes it's not okay. It does hurt. It is frustrating. It is upsetting. And we need to say, yeah, it is frustrating and upsetting, not, oh, it's not that bad. It could be worse.
Get over it.
Get over it. Just drop it. But you can't drop it. You can't positive think it away. But I think people look for validation because they lack the capacity to validate themselves. And we look for validation externally. How do we look? Have we achieved? Especially in American culture, what have we done? What do we have to show for our hard work? As if we are what we do. Um, and so we don't learn to validate ourselves just for being human beings. Deepak Chopra says, be a human being, not a human doing. And so often we look for validation in what we do, and we forget that we also need to validate who we are and feel good about ourselves just for the person the people that we are, the person that we are.
Wow. And also I've seen a lot of examples that people, find some sort of validation from stuff, materials like expensive shoes. I mean, I love shoes and I love clothes, but a lot of people, there are people, or I was like that too, who are obsessed to feel something from materials, and they get in trouble because they just only want materials, and in order to get materials they want money, and if they don't have money they are not confident and they feel bad about themselves and they hate themselves. So beside money and a material, do you think all of us have something to celebrate in our life?
Absolutely. And I don't believe that having things, having a certain kind of car or a certain kind of house or a certain kind of designer, this or that. And I live in Calabasas, land of the Kardashians. So I can tell you it's pretty pervasive. It doesn't bring you happiness. People think that if they just get that thing, then they're going to feel happy. But wherever you go, there you are. Whatever you have, that's how you feel. Including people think they're going to be happy if they lose weight. But you lose weight, all that changes is the number on the scale. You still generally feel the same way about yourself. Yes, you might have some time of going, yeah, I feel good. I look good. I can buy whatever I want at the store and yay me. And then eventually, like you still have the issue with the boss, and your kids still drive you crazy, and you still, whatever it is that's going on in your life, it's still happening. Changing your body, getting more stuff doesn't bring happiness. That's the illusion of happiness. True happiness comes from, kind of like that moment on your wedding day, when you also look at yourself and say, wow, I not only does someone else look at you, which is a beautiful moment that you describe, but for you to be able to say, who I am is enough. who I am is someone to celebrate, how I relate to others, what I bring to the world. These are the priceless gifts. It doesn't matter if you have your, Maserati, it's not going to bring you, or your Chanel bag. It's not going to really make a difference about who you are. But feeling good about yourself, you can't buy that.
Wow. Yes. Just being okay with who I am right now. That's hard, but once you have that in your life, it just changes everything. I totally believe that. My other question is, um, what do you think the role emotions play in our life?
They make us human. Well, and I have a very expressive Great Dane, so I don't think emotions are are specific because he sure feels emotional, but no, they make us know we're alive, and we need to have the range of emotions to feel most alive. You don't know you're happy unless you've also been sad. You can't have a sense of accomplishment unless you've also had the pain of failure. Like, emotions are that which make us have the richness of the human experience, and we need the range of them to have that. And so, yeah, emotions are a sign that we're human.
Absolutely agree with you. And I always just say, you also have, in order to trust yourself, you have to embrace your emotions. If you ignore your emotions, you don't know what's right for you. You don't know what you like. You don't know what you don't like. Then how can you trust yourself? So, yes, I absolutely agree with you. My other question, sorry, I wrote down everything so I don't forget.
Okay, yeah.
Why do you think people have such a hard time following their hearts?
Because of the shoulds in our society. You should, or in our families, in our cultures. Um, in my family, education was highly prized, and it's like, well, of course you not only go to college, but of course you also go to grad school of some kind. Like, of course you do. Like, these are the shoulds. And I have two daughters, and one of them is super academic. She's 13, she's going to high school, she's ahead of herself, she's into studying, she's into learning, she's into that. I have an older daughter who is not like that at all. She's creative, she's an artist. She hated school. And so for her to follow her heart was to say, no, I'm not going to listen to the shoulds, and which I supported. Like, it's not for everyone. Like, you have to do what's right for you and challenge the shoulds in your life. And where do they come from? And do they pertain to you? And really look at, well, what's right for you. You got to identify all the shoulds and all the you ought to and you're supposed to, and this is what we do. and of course you have to be this, and when you kind of clear out all the noise of other people, you can find your way to listen to yourself.
Wow, I agree. You want to say or ask or
I just want to say that I really appreciate your mission, and as an artist and as a human, and those things, of course, go together. I really appreciate your mission to help people get in touch with their emotions, which is really about getting in touch with themselves and being interested in themselves rather than interested in other things like doing the right thing, or what, like social things, having the right partner, having the right car, house, thing, career, whatever it is, doing the right thing versus being the right person that that you are. It's a beautiful mission, and I'm really glad that you reached out to me. And
Oh,
I want to say there is hope for change. Every day I see people change, people who didn't know how to look upon their emotions other than with disdain or embarrassment or shame or whatever, who learn to have a different way of being with themselves. And so there is hope, which is an emotion. There is hope, and there is hope for people as individuals, and therefore hope for us all.
wow. I love that. I love this so much. Thank you. And this interview will be shared in July